Sometimes, it's hard to know what's going on behind the eyes of someone in your life. But eventually, they show you who they are. And when they do, it's an act of self-compassion and mental health to strengthen boundaries with them. Knowledge is power. Here are 7 manipulation tactics of someone who is manipulating you. Manipulation tactic number 1. They know your weaknesses, and once they do, they exploit them. A friend knew that I didn't like to see people suffer and that when I was tired, I tended to give in more easily. Once she figured that out, the intensity of her victim stories increased when she asked for financial assistance, usually late at night just before I slept. She was like a mosquito. She would back off when she sensed I wasn't in the mood to give, then would start right back at it when she felt the time was right. Notice how the relationship has changed over time to know someone is exploiting a weakness. Also, notice how they talk about other people. If they brag about how easily they play others, they are doing the same thing to you. Move on. Manipulation tactic number 2. They use your insecurities against you. Once, a religious leader told me that I wouldn't be able to see my family in the next life if I rejected their religion. Then he added, and they will reject you in this life if you share your doubts about our religion. My head knew he was manipulating me, but my heart sank at the thought. He knew how important my family was to me. I knew the truth about this religion and left. My family rejected me for a time as they were shocked when I left the fundamentalist religion but did return when they eventually figured out the lies. Fear-based threats are usually a sign of manipulation tactics, especially if it involves the afterlife. Manipulation tactic number 3. Create dependence. Control through dependence is the key goal of manipulation. It's common for a partner suffering from narcissistic personality disorder to get you to cut off friendships so they feel more in control. Political parties and religions do this by having you ignore information sources critical of them. When it comes to information, stay open to all sources and voices. They're not all true, but the more open you are, the more you'll be able to sort through fact from fiction. Behavioral standards can also be used as a form of dependence. Watch for high demands, shifting goalposts, and impossible standards. I noticed that with a high-demand religion, a cult, was that I was on a treadmill, sometimes feeling on top and superior to other humans, then underneath it when I couldn't keep up with their impossible standards. What made it worse is that any violation of a high standard had to be dealt with by confessing to a religious leader. Imagine the dependence this created, a feeling of guilt that could only be dealt with by the intervention of the religious leader. That's dependence. High standards inspire excellence unless the goalposts shift at the drop of a hat or the standards are so lofty that literally, no one can meet them. Manipulation tactic number 4. Deception and blame shifting. Wait, isn't deception different from blame shifting? Both are attempts to hide the truth. Anytime you see that they are lying, making excuses, blaming you, or selectively sharing facts to create a distorted narrative, they're being deceptive. Manipulation tactic number 5. They exaggerate and generalize. Manipulators know the power of using exaggeration and generalization. They love to paint others with negative labels that they can't define. When I noticed a friend doing this for his political opponents, I asked him to define the labels he was using. He couldn't. Truth is always nuanced, and the glory is in the details. A racist always uses negative generalizations or labels with the group they want to marginalize. However, spending time with someone from that marginalized group will change their view because they come to see them as people with their own quirks, needs, views, and mannerisms. And when they see the subtleties, nuances, and details of what it's like to walk in their shoes, they lose the racism. Remember, manipulators love generalized labels but lose their power when they have to wade into the details because that's where the truth is found. Manipulation tactic number 6. Accusation and guilt shifting. If you've ever tried to deal with a problem, gap, or missed promise with a manipulator, you know how they use counter-accusation to try to shift the focus from them to you. The supervisor who brings up an employee's late arrival may get an earful on some shortcomings of the supervisor. That's a counter-accusation to shift focus. Even if you're an expert in communicating problems in a way that opens up conversation to solutions, highly manipulative people love to use accusations as a way to defend themselves. When I asked a religious leader to explain problems in the religion's truth claims, he immediately shifted away from the problem to try to accuse me of sin. People who question God's truth usually have something amiss in their life, an unresolved sin. Let's talk about your worthiness. Luckily, I knew enough about manipulators to smile and point out that he was trying to shift the conversation because he knew that his religion was a lie. Some manipulators use legal means to intimidate those wanting to break free. It's no accident that Scientology sues many people when they share their thoughts publicly. A highly litigious person or organization is a sign of a manipulator. Manipulation tactic number 7. They confuse you and make you question your own reality. If you've had experiences with gaslighting, you know how weird these conversations are. Up is down, right is wrong, and you didn't see what you thought you saw. Or, as Dorothy was told by the Wizard of Oz, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Sure, whiz. Sometimes, it takes time to sort out fact from fiction. Manipulative people are like squids in that they create a smokescreen to create an escape from accountability. With a manipulative partner, I had to do extensive research prior to any conversation, and even then, up was down, pay no attention to the facts, and so forth. Trusting, empathetic people don't want to believe that they have trusted someone who is manipulating them. But when they see the 7 signs we've discussed in this video, it's time to create stronger boundaries. Thanks for joining us at the Change Capability Institute today. Like the video and subscribe to the channel to support our work.